Welcome back, everybody, to the Card Chatter with Refractor Jones and Bobbles and Ball Cards. We are rolling right along already into episode number 8. I hope you all are having a wonderful week so far. This will be the Wednesday episode, and I hope you have been enjoying them. Refractor, sir, how are you doing this fine morning?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, as my friend used to say.
Hey, Mr. Rogers, the man. All
Yeah.
right. Something we touched on, and all of those that watched through the last video, I did spot there was at least one new subscriber out there, so we do appreciate it. We are keeping tabs on that. Um,
Oh, nice.
we touched on it at the end. Again, we'll mention it here for anybody. You know, this is such a great cause with Mason and Mason's mission, and just a young individual who has been fighting and battling himself, wants to try to help raise money to help other kids, other families. So as always, we want to give a huge shout out to Mason. Hope he is doing well. If you are able, whether it's $1 or up to whatever you feel comfortable with, donating to help Mason's cause, Mason's mission, it's very much appreciated. We want to be a huge advocate for that, and nothing. We don't want anything coming our way. We want it all to go to him. Um, and anybody that subscribes, we will keep tabs on our subscriber numbers and also contribute as well, based off of that. So, anyway, anything you would like to touch on, Mr. Refractor?
No, I think you covered it. I mean, if if you're unable to, make a monetary donation, just give us a like and a sub, and we'll take care of the rest. It's real simple.
And please comment.
Yes.
Please comment.
Yeah.
The comments help, the comments help get the videos out there, get the information out there, get the conversation out there. But we named this channel and we named these episodes the Card Chatter because we sit here and that's why it's just us talking. And we want you guys to be involved. Like, tell us, or you got, you can sit there and say, hey, you guys are crazy. You don't know what the heck you're talking about. Or you can join in the conversation and tell us your thoughts, your opinions, anything that we missed, anything that you might be able to add to the conversation. Please always comment because, again, we love to talk and we love to conversate or chatter about the hobby. So,
Right, and we answer everyone. So, we won't avoid you, whether it's good or bad, we're always going to answer you.
right, and whether and sometimes it may be both of us. Refractor may chime in if he spots the comment, and then I obviously jump back and forth between my personal channel and then this channel, trying to help respond and interact with everyone as well. So you'll likely hear from both of us. So with that being said, I think we have a great topic on our list here. And just to share maybe a little bit more about ourselves or feelings on this topic, this isn't to put ourselves, on any side, any kind of platter or anything like that. But I think it's a fun topic, something to talk about, something to share with everybody. And we would also like to hear folks, again, for the comments, share your experiences here. But we have a topic on the list. It's what do you bring to the hobby community as a plus? What do you add from your hobby, whether it be knowledge, experience, fun, collection, what have you? What do you add? What do you bring to the hobby community as a plus? And I will let you start off with that, Refractor.
Oh, you put me on the spot. Well, uh, for me, I bring I bring a lot of inclusivity. I try to include everyone and anyone into the hobby. So I'm never opposed to not sitting down and having a conversation about the hobby. And, a lot of times people are a little standoffish and they don't want to discuss certain topics about the hobby because one, they're not knowledgeable in it, or they are a little shy, or they just feel, hey, I don't know how this person's going to react towards me. Our community is a fantastic community. It really is. And the diversity that we have is by far leaps and bounds, I think, better and bigger than most people really think it is. And we really, really, really should be able to have open discussion and able to help others. And it's just not a hard thing to do, but it truly seems to be, because a lot of people stay on the sidelines. I mean, even with our topics that we have, I feel that they're good topics, but certain people just don't comment, or they're afraid to comment. And
Do
you
you
should never be afraid to comment.
real quick? So, and what you're touching on, I'm not in a ton of like Facebook groups and social media platforms out there, but I do keep, I keep eyes on certain things, and I am in some, I guess you would say, larger groups, um, and I read things at times. Eh, Do you think? And I'm bringing this up because I do see it often. Do you think sometimes that comes about that people sit in the shadows or don't partake in conversations because of a lot of these groups out there, and I see it. There was even a comment, and hey, we read the comments, we see them. Somebody commented on the video about the popularity versus experience video we did, and they said many times the YouTube channels, the guys who are more in tune with, as say, an expert, they're not accepted of new people. And I see many times in like Facebook groups and stuff, somebody might post, say, "Hey, I'm new," or "Hey, I got this and I don't know much about it. Can you help me out?" And there's a lot of, let me be frank, there's a lot of assholes out there that make fun of them, or, you know, are just plain rude. Do you think that could be a reason why sometimes people just sit on the sidelines?
Yeah, again, people don't like to throw themselves out there. They feel like, hey, I'm not ready for any kind of judgment, and the last thing I want to do is be, have somebody make fun of me. So, it's kind of unfortunate, but when I'm on, because I don't do a whole lot on Facebook any longer. I mean, I do. I'm part of a lot of Facebook groups, but I'm probably on there maybe once a day, if even that. And I'll go on there, and if I see something new that's popped up in any one of these groups that's coming through my feed, and where somebody's just posting a picture of a card, hey, look, I got this and this, and they're proud of it. I always make sure either I throw up a thumbs up on the item, or I'll actually comment on it. Congratulations. Any kind of positive reinforcement in this hobby is a good thing, because it gives that confidence builder to that person to say, hey, you know what? Maybe it is okay to engage with people. Let me put myself out there a little bit more. And you know, a lot of people have the fear of the unknown, and and the fear of the unknown is kind of silly, when you really look at it, because you're just behind a computer or a phone. I mean, there's keyboard warriors out there all day long. So if people can be negative, it's pretty easy to be positive. And truly, it's a lot easier to be positive than it is to be negative.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And for anybody out there, I hear many times folks say, or I've seen it in other people's chats on like live videos of larger channels that get a larger audience and everything. And I'll see people say, "Hey, any tips for starting a YouTube channel or what have you?" I'm going to tell you now, if you're listening to this and you ever have an interest in starting YouTube, just do it. Like, be Nike and just do it. And what I mean by that, don't have a fear in it. Don't go into it expecting many views. Don't go into it expecting a lot of subscribers. Do it and have fun with it. And the more you can have fun with it, the more positive it is for you, and the more positive it will be for your viewers. And if you don't want to put your face out there, just have your camera pointed to a wall, or have some cards on a table, or just do it how we do it and just do audio casts. But
Mhm.
if you ever want to, it's kind of like you don't know what the temperature of the water is until you dip your toe in, right?
Sure.
And the beautiful thing about it is, if you start it and you don't like it, you can delete it. You can just say, all right, I'm done, and delete your channel. But you also might feel, this surge of happiness that, hey, I'm making friends. Somebody watched my channel and commented or gave me a thumbs up and said, hey, good video, whatever. And then that's going to build your confidence, and you're going to start wanting to do it more. And, one day, if you ever feel comfortable with turning the camera around on yourself, you might find, that you have a lot of fun with it. Honestly, I didn't never expect to build a channel the way I did or anything. And I'll let you go ahead and finish on your side before I get into mine. But I just wanted to throw that out there, because you're right. Some people are very shy, and they think that folks are just going to make fun of them, even with doing YouTube. And don't
Yeah.
ever be afraid. Just be Nike. Do it.
Mm.
So
Yeah, yeah, and see, and that's why we've decided to do our channel the way we're actually carrying on this podcast, because it doesn't need to be about us. It's about the hobby in general, and the best way I feel personally to do that is just for us to have a simple discussion, because that's how you learn. That's how you're able to discuss certain things, and you get to be a little bit more comfortable with people, and you're not kind of put on the spot when you're doing a video. And intimidation is a big deal to a lot of people. And a person like myself and you, well, Bobbles, we're pretty easygoing. We can have a discussion with anybody at any time, for however long it needs to be. So in this hobby, it could be a great thing, but it also could be, that the unfortunate thing also, because people are, again, they're afraid of judgment, and there shouldn't be any judgment in this hobby. I mean, it's crazy that people will single a certain person out and attack that person because they like a certain player, or they like a certain card, or they think this is going to be a great investment. I'm throwing the quotation marks up in the air here. Yeah. So you just be you, and be authentic, and just be the best version of you, and it's going to come out, and people are going to understand that. you know for a long
yeah,
for a long time, people didn't understand, why do you go to children's hospital all the time, and here's the simple reality of it. Why not? It's easier being a positive person than it is being a negative person. And although I see a lot of negative things that happen, to children, it's still not going to change that I should be there to do the right thing and support, to give them that emotional support, and for them to always know that I'm going to walk through those doors just to pop in to say hello.
right. And,
Yeah.
and so, to touch on a few things, like you mentioned, s- the criticism involved within the hobby, so to speak, whether it be on an investment avenue, or I like this player, I feel good about this card, what have you. This hobby is so variety oriented that people need to understand. And I did a video similar to this a long time ago with different levels of the hobby, um, because it's true. We have to understand, as a community of card collectors, not everybody has the same wallet. Not everybody likes the same sports. Not everybody likes the same teams. Not everybody likes the same players, the same genres. There's the same grading companies. There is so much diversified, spaces within this hobby. There is a avenue for everyone, I feel like. If you have a low budget and you just want to collect cheaper, lower priced valued cards, you can do that and you can have fun with
Yeah,
what you enjoy.
most definitely. You can
It-
live out of a quarter and 50 cent box all day long and build one
right.
hell of a collection.
And it's not
Guaranteed you can.
wrong. It's not
No.
wrong. I mean, you're a Tua Tagovailoa fan, and I don't criticize you for that. So,
Hey,
you know,
hey.
um, no, that's just again, that's just having fun. But that's my point. Like, you don't have to do what everybody else does. You can find your lane and
Yeah.
do something that just makes you happy. And don't ever let someone criticize it because you like it. You know, we talked about some off the wall players that not everybody's on their, radar list, scraping up every card that's tossed out on eBay, but we have fun with it. I'm telling you, my Michael Taylor collection is one of my most proudest things in my whole entire collection because it's a player I enjoy. I love his personality, his grind, his keep striving to be good. I really appreciate his wife. She's a wonderful person. We've met her many times. So not everybody is going to be high on Michael Taylor, but I love collecting his cards. So, um, for me, if this question was to be asked of me, what do you bring to the hobby community as a plus? And I kind of talked about it with everybody at the house at the National. Um, I when I first pressed record and started to decide to make YouTube videos, I was that awkward. You can go back and watch my videos. It was awkward. I wasn't very, you probably could hardly hear me on the microphone. I was kind of quiet, timid, and I was just opening packs of cards and sharing the cards, right? Tried to make
After.
it interesting, but it wasn't. Going back watching, I kept the videos up because they're so awkward. It's good to see where you start from. It was
Hmm.
good to see where this started from. And even as the channel grew, when I would get on and say, you know, what's up, YouTube, Bobbles and Ball Cards, back with another video, it was still, you could tell there was a little bit of timidness there. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know if anybody would watch. I didn't know if people were going to criticize it.
Yeah, but
And
did it really matter to you whether people were watching or not?
well, that's where I think it there's evolutions and progress there.
Mm.
Because in the beginning it was I had a fear of failure, so to speak. Like I
Yeah.
wanted people to watch me because obviously that's why I was doing videos.
Right.
It wasn't about, money or anything like that. I was and I'm still doing it. I don't get many views. But I think what has came about this is exactly what I needed from it.
Mhm.
Um it's not money. I mean, I've showed you. I don't make crap on YouTube, and if that's what I was, doing it for, then, uh, yeah, I would be in a very bad situation. um,
You wouldn't be broke, you'd be broke.
oh man, I would be. Yeah, it would be bad. It would be very bad. Um, I what I have gotten from this, and then I feel what I have added to this. We have the term community is thrown around a lot out there. And I think people need to kind of look at and express what exactly they mean by community. Me and the missus didn't have a Facebook group. We didn't have a Facebook period until the channel started growing, and then people started asking if we would do the group subs, and we created a Facebook and a Facebook group and everything, just simply to have a place to share information with folks, make it a centralized location. But what came up from the channel, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, and all that stuff is so many friendships. And that's what I needed from this hobby, from YouTube, from the Facebook, because I would say I would call myself, I'm not necessarily introverted, but I've always been one that I kind of stay to myself. And when I moved out of state at 19, I lost lost touch with all my friends from my youth and everything. And then moving back, I've kind of, I have friends, but not many of them outside of what has grown from doing YouTube and stuff. The guys that I've met at my LCS and everything, they've grown to be friends. And then all of you spread across not only just the country but the world. And so what have I been able to offer? Well, you kind of laughed at me after Saturday night, and I did the couple hours on the the preview and everything. You're like, you're going to lose your voice, and then we needed to record on Sunday
Right.
to do Monday's episode, and I have I was on the phone, I think, for about 7 hours or more on Sunday, just talking to different people. I talked to Guns, I talked to JJ, I talked to Ryan Bouguet, I talked to Ryan Satterley, so many different people. Like, I was on the phone pretty much all day Sunday after we recorded. Again, why? Because I love to talk cards. I love to talk this hobby. So what do I bring? Well, obviously we save people a lot of money by offering a service, doing the grading. I am proud to say that people instill their trust in us. Um, I'm proud to know that I have that recognition that I'm going to take care of your cards just as if they're my own, and that people have seen the value and quality of service we do. It saves people a lot of money. We were able to offer the house at the National. Again, that saved people a lot of money. But what it also did is it brought everybody together. There's a lot of talk about Atlantic City, everything's spread out, and it's hard to take part in everything. Every evening we came back home, there was folks sitting around talking about their day, chatting about the show, showing off pickups, discussing things within the hobby, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking 100% credit for all of this, but what have I brought to the hobby? Many folks wouldn't know each other if I hadn't have fired up YouTube, if I hadn't have decided to build a Facebook group. Folks may not have ever met each other. So we have brought, as you said, a community. We've built a community that has allowed many, many, many different people to not just grade cards, to not just collect cards or buy cards or sell cards or what have you, but it's allowed many, many, many people to create friendships, to build friendships, and to find folks they may never have known had it not been for the community. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. I'm here. I'm listening
Oh,
to you.
I thought he fell asleep on me, guys. He was like,
No,
he's not moving. I thought he was like froze. Anyway, he's going
look,
through cards. Okay. See, this is
I'm sitting
where
there.
I wish
I'm,
sometimes you guys could see the behind the scenes, because I literally thought he was froze. He wasn't moving, and he's standing there sorting through cards, but I couldn't see. So
yeah,
anyway,
I'm
I
over here.
mean,
I'm. Watch this, Robert. Look.
would you agree with that? I mean, think
Yeah.
about just the folks, you yourself, JJ, and you met James there, Damien, all those guys, Scott, James, Rob, just from this last show that we came out of. And then I know there's many more, you know, PJ, and there's many folks in the group that that you've came about or in contact with. Would you agree with that? Like, you may not
Yeah.
have known any of them, let alone all of them, had it
No,
not
right.
been for building that community.
Right, sure. Right, I wouldn't have because if I didn't join your Facebook group, then and again, that was always my thing. I always want to join smaller Facebook groups and these smaller groups that just start out, just to give them that support. And and like I've told you before, you know, I'm the kind of guy that will sit on the sideline and I'll sit there and watch because of all the years that I have had in this hobby. The last thing I want to ever come off to anyone as being cocky or you know, a know-it-all and that type of a person. But I do have a lot of knowledge in the hobby. You know, 40 years in this hobby nonstop has afforded me an amount of wealth of knowledge. And I don't take that for granted. You know, when people are asking questions, I make it a point to you know, try to help somebody out. It takes 2 seconds to, you know, to type up a response or to send somebody a private DM and just say, hey, you know, these came out of this set. This is how they were distributed. You can find them in this type of a box. You know, it's real easy. It's not a hard thing to do. And can you imagine getting that response on the other end when you're asking a question about something and somebody goes in depth and gives you a complete breakdown of a set or a box, or you know, or how to be able to find, you know, this item? You automatically get that, those little butterflies in your stomach, like, man, card people are really good people, you know, and that's, it's not everyday life, you know, because
Right.
people will walk right by a person laying on the ground and completely avoid them, not say
Yeah,
a single word.
you touched on something there that I actually, because I think sometimes I do come across strong at sometimes, and I've learned to cut back on that a little bit. Uh, I don't want it to ever come across as being like cocky or anything like that. There's a term that's used many times, especially by the misses, is just the passion there. And I
Hmm.
do get passionate about things, especially if I'm trying to help somebody. But you mentioned something there, and it is an approach I've taken more recently, especially in larger groups where, as I touched on earlier, many times people just get criticized over asking a question or something. If it's something that I could help the person with, rather than chime in publicly on like commenting or something. And it's sad we have to do this, but sometimes it does get the point to the person asking the question rather than feeding a bunch of criticism into it by others. I'll do the same thing. I've started to take the approach, and it might take them a minute to see it because of the way the messaging system is. If it's not
Right.
someone that you've ever spoke to before, but I'll just hit them
Yeah.
a DM, and I'll be like, "Hey, I seen your question. I was reading the comments. Just thought I would, you know, toss this information out there to you. I hope this helps." And sometimes, you know, they'll see it and they'll be like, "Hey, thank you for explaining this because I really do appreciate it, and I wasn't, you know, understanding." And I'll use a perfect example. There was a guy on Facebook, and I'm not going to throw the group out there, but it's one of the really large group. They got, you know, 40,000 plus members. So there's a lot of people in there, a lot of activity. But the guy was actually asking, he had sent a card off for grading. It was a Tony Hawk Sports Illustrated for Kids card, but it was the anniversary card. It wasn't the original one.
Hmm.
And it came back with, he sent it to PSA, and it came back as men's size requirement not met. And he didn't understand. He, you know, which is fair. Many people don't understand all the nuances and what this means with grading and what this doesn't. But
Mhm.
there was folks out there telling him, "Oh, well, that's because the card's trimmed," because they immediately noticed the border on on the sides were flat, whereas because that card, I believe, is on the sheet in the upper right-hand corner,
Right.
whereas the
Yes.
original is on the bottom middle or something like that.
Mhm.
So there was all this information that was being tossed around out there, and like somebody, they were trying to say that it was trimmed, and they were, it was just all this information. And so I privately messaged the guy after looking what the label said from PSA, and I told him, I was like, "Your card's not trimmed, sir. They're not saying it was cut or anything. It's literally just those Sports Illustrated for Kids cards and the way they were manufactured and the way they were produced sometimes don't fit the sizing standards from the grading companies." And
They're throwaway cards. That's what they meant to be. They
right,
weren't
well,
meant to be preserved.
the size of the cards vary so much, and if they don't fit the particular, the standard size requirement,
Mhm.
rather, but and especially with the cards on those that are on the border that have the flat edge, it's hard for the grading company to determine, was this trimmed or was this manufactured, because if it's undersized, they would have to, it could be either scenario, right?
Sure.
So it's very common for those to come back with sizing issues. And I just explained that to him. I told him, if he wanted it to be numerically graded, his likely best opportunity would be to send to Beckett, because they don't take into account the sizing as much, because they have that inner sleeve. So usually those will come back as, numerically graded cards. Um, and even with SGC, they might encapsulate it, but they would just say authentic likely if it was undersized. So instead of jumping into the fire pit with all of these comments, and you have to kind of gauge the room, so to speak. You have to look what kind of information is being told to this guy. How are the people commenting approaching this? Are they trying to be helpful? Or are they trying to be rude and, like, high strung on what they're saying? And if it's a situation where you can see that the information is off, so to say, I just, instead of even, because what you'll find is you could be helping everybody else, but some of these people feel like they're so right that if I was to comment it publicly, then they would have just taken their argument over into my comment and tried to debate with me what I was saying. And
Right.
that's what I've learned over time is, if you jump into a comment stream and there's people there that are high strung on what they're saying, and you put something out there, you could be 1,000,000% confident in what you're saying and know that you're right, but they are also going to be thinking that they're right, and then you're going to just clash heads. So
Right.
sometimes it's best to just hit them up, hit somebody up privately and be like, "Hey, take this for what it's worth, but here's the information I have to share with you. I hope this helps," and, go about your day. So I do agree with that. Sometimes to help folks, just take it private. But yeah, as far as bringing things, for myself, and I'll speak on behalf of the missus as well, I think what we have brought to the hobby itself, and I know this topic was, what do you bring to the hobby community? I think for us, it was the fact we have built a community. Um, and I do take pride in what we built. I know the group isn't as active as it used to be. Many folks have kind of taken a step back out of the hobby, or, like, some of the guys, Mark, got Mark. He mentioned he started collecting vinyl. You know,
Hmm.
Nothing wrong with that. Find what is your passion, and if cards became, too much of a nuisance for you, and you find, you love music and you love vinyl and you want to go collect vinyl, you're still welcome in our group, because we're just a group of collectors. And, there's many different, like, views and interests and everything in that group. So what did we bring? We brought a community, a true community, to the hobby, and I'm
Right.
very proud of that. So
Yeah, you guys should be. You know, it's a hard thing to do to align a lot of people with, you know, your point of view or this point of view. And really, you guys never did that. All you guys did was provide a space for everybody to engage in and to, you know, bring up certain topics of, hey, I don't know how to do this, or how do I go about grading? How, you know, what should I be looking for when I'm trying to find this type of a card? And that's what I always liked about your group was is that everybody was always very helpful. There was nobody there that was attacking anybody and stuff. There was a couple, you know, that during your lives and your, you know, your videos that you would do, you would see a few here and there, but you know, again, you're not going to be able to curve that, and that's where coming in and DMing somebody and sending somebody a private message and offering that help, that if you can, you know, it takes 2 seconds to do so. You know, for me, this hobby has always been about including everyone, no matter what,
Right.
you know, who you are. You know,
And
a couple of, hold on one second here. A couple of my favorite people in the world uh, are a couple people that I see at the National now, you know, every year, and that's Denny and Brandon. Denny, she's Denny's grandma, and of course Brandon is grandson, and I love seeing them every time, and I always make sure that I make time for them at every national. No matter what I'm doing, I'll break away and just leave whatever I'm doing to go spend time with him, because one, he's a child, and two, he reminds me of me when I was his age and my grandmother going to shows with me and the way she is with him. And those are, you know, those are memories that I had as a kid, and I no longer have my grandmother. So, you know, I live vicariously through that whole situation there by seeing the pure joy and excitement that he has looking for his Peyton Manning cards. And and of course Denny's looking, you know, she loves Tom Brady, so she's a Michigan girl. So she'll, you know, she'll look for her stuff, but she loves her vintage too. So it's great because I can relate with her on a lot of stuff, and I most definitely relate, you know, with him because he has a passion for his guy, and of course I had that passion for my guy when I was young, you know, and it's a great thing to see, and it just brings joy to my collecting aspect to know that I could have any type of positive influence in, you know, in a child's life, because of course we're not going to be here forever, and we need good stewards in this hobby to carry this hobby forth. And you know, one day, you know, who knows, you know, Brendan might be running a card company, who knows.
right, right, yeah. What I was just gonna say was, and this isn't a shameless plug or anything, but while we're on the topic, and I mentioned the group and everything, in the description of the video, I always put the links to both of our Instagrams, the Card Chatter Instagram, the Facebook group, my other YouTube channel. I put all of the links in the description of the video. I Another thing that I've always tried to make clear, and I know sometimes folks didn't you know, they might have thought otherwise. Um, yes, you know, we do SGC group subs. Yes, it's in the title of the group, but the group isn't SGC only. Like you can discuss any, like it's a hobby group. It's not, if you collect comics, you can talk about them in there. If you collect vinyl, talk about it in there, right? We may not all have answers or help or advice, but we can appreciate if you're, you know, sharing your GI Joe figures or your Star Wars figures or, you know, whatever. Like it's a hobby community, it's a collector community, and it's a fun community. You know, I miss how active it used to be. I honestly do. I miss how the activity that used to be in the group, the excitement, the passion, and everybody talking. Like there was post after post after post, like every day. I do miss
Mhm.
that. I
But that's because
understand things died down and
yeah,
people moved on.
everybody was trapped at home though, you know, so
Right, right.
you
And I
can't
get
take that
that.
personally.
No, it's not a I'm just speaking. I like I that's That's what I'm saying though. Like,
Mhm.
when this question is, what do you bring to the hobby? We built a community, and that was so exciting and fun seeing all of the conversations. And that's when a lot of the friendships were made and everything. I get people aren't attached to their phones anymore and just sitting there and looking up cards and this, that, and talking about it. I completely understand. This wasn't a thing of, oh man, it sucks. The group phased out, it fizzled out, and it's our fault. No, when I made the post a week or 2 weeks or however long ago it was, I was kind of just throwing a topic out there to get people involved, right? To
Mhm.
respond to it, and let me see, what are you doing? And that's how, when Mark said, hey, I'm still here. I'm still around. I still watch your videos, still watch the previews and all that. I enjoy them, but I've shifted over. I'm collecting vinyl. That's great, man. You found something else you really enjoy. I'm not knocking that at all. I don't know
No.
much about the vinyls, but my daughter loves records and everything. So that's what I mean. Like, it was fun with everybody talking all the time because, again, my friends are the people that I've met through this hobby. So, you know,
Isn't that isn't that funny that your friends of the hobby are actually uh, real lifelong friends? They
I
become
told JJ that, yeah.
they become the
I told
longevity of the
JJ,
hobby. You know.
I don't want to sound like a push right now, but y'all seen how choked up I got when it was time for everybody to leave. Because that getting to meet all you guys and hanging out with you all, I didn't want it to go away. We can
Yeah.
see each other right now. We're talking right now. We're just hanging out and joking around and busting each other's balls and sharing what pickups and what finds we made throughout the day. That was so fun. I didn't want it to go away. And yeah, I can see
Right.
y'all next year or what have you, but it's like, it was 2 years in the making, and then it went by so quickly, and I didn't want
Right.
it to go away. That's what these people and, the friends that I've made, that's what it means to me. And people can try to call bullshit all they want, but y'all seen it. Y'all
Yeah.
seen what this hobby means to me. So, but
Yeah.
anyway,
For me, it was real funny because when we were hanging out at the house and stuff, and we would go sit over there by the fence. We would just hang over there, and we'd just be sitting there overlooking the water, and we're just sitting there chit chatting. And of course, everybody is back on the porch, and they're over there chirping at us, making fun
yep.
of us, you know, saying
Yep.
we were romantically involved over there, having a deep discussion. You know what? No, it was just natural.
But that's
And
part of, like, they knew they could do that. They knew they could bust our balls because
sure,
they knew we're all
yeah,
friends.
right,
So,
yeah,
um,
and
but
truly,
anyway,
truly, Atlantic City was a pleasure for me this year, and I do not like Atlantic City. I just
right,
I,
yeah.
I do not like it. Just to travel alone to get to that show is just garbage. It's terrible. But truly, this year it was fantastic. It was tolerable. I had a great time. Do I want to do it again? Yes, but not in Atlantic City. you know, I'll go do anything again, but not in Atlantic City. And thank goodness we get an Atlantic City reprieve here for a couple of years. So, we hopefully we won't see it again for another 5 to 10 years, but who knows?
But okay, well, we are at about minute 45 here. Anything else you want to add as far as, what you bring as a plus to the hobby in general, the hobby communities? I kind of have said my spiel. What I brought to the hobby was actually a community. Um,
Yeah, I don't
Anything
I don't
else you want to touch on?
I really don't like to talk about myself. You know that because I don't. I'm pretty reserved, and like I said, I've always been that type of guy that'll sit back and just and listen. And if I can add anything, I do. But the one thing that I'm definitely proud of is what my grandmother's always instilled in me. Always put faith in everyone and let them make the choices in life, whether they're going to disappoint you or stand up and stand along your side and be strong force in your life. So again, for me, what I truly bring to the table is always being a good steward of the hobby, but being a good human being and caring of everyone. And I know that sounds mushy, but it's a hell of a lot easier being a good person than it is being, garbage. It truly is. So diversity in our hobby is important, and everybody should always be included. Do never, please don't judge people. Don't, push people away. Include everybody in your hobby. It will become a stronger hobby, and not only that, your collection will grow from it. It truly will.
Well, that's definitely true because uh, there's more to a collection than just the cards. There's the stories and the friendships and how those little trinkets of cardboard were obtained. So, all right. I do thank
Yep.
everyone. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Please like, please comment. Tell us what you bring to the your hobby community. Um, and as always, again, hope you have a wonderful day and just like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys.